Looking at his two brothers was like staring at one of those paintings with hidden figures masked in the folds of dots. There had to be depth in them, something that made sense, but damned if he could find it. Griffin Holloway considered his own faults. Well, his one fault, really. That's all he'd allowed himself in this lifetime. Some people might consider being born Texan a flaw, but he loved his state, and this land that generations of Holloways had been born to. He cussed, though. Far more than allowed, he figured. His mother had washed out his mouth so many times when he was a kid that he'd grown to like the taste of ivory soap. But his two younger brothers were not nearly as disciplined. If they had to carry all their shortcomings in a sack, they'd both be permanently bent over. Holloway men might all top 6 feet, and they were reasonably good-looking, but Griffin wasn't sure any, including him, could claim to be long on brains. Cooper, the youngest at 23, was lanky and limber as a bungee cord. He thought the ranch was his private playground. Hell, he should have been born free like a coyote or a hawk. As a kid, he hadn't bothered to wear clothes unless their mother made him when she was expecting company. He was so wild, she swore if he'd been able to grow fur, she could have sold him to the circus. Griffin wasn't sure even today that his little brother wasn't more critter than human. Growing up hadn't changed him much. Right now, Cooper was standing covered in mud in the headquarters great room, and it wasn't even 8 o'clock in the morning. He didn't seem to be paying any attention to the weekly family business discussion, but that was nothing new. He obviously wanted to get the talking over with and head out to roam the land, fishing, hunting, exploring for Aztec gold, doing anything but work. Elliot, the middle brother, tried to look like he was following Griffin's weekly lecture about how broke the ranch would be by Christmas. At least Elliot did his share of the work, and had since the day he'd come home from college to help run the place. But Elliot's heart wasn't in ranching. Never had been. He spent 10 hours on his computer for every one he spent on a horse. He made Griffin think of a bit actor who'd accidentally stumbled onto the wrong set. Facing them both, Griffin cleared his throat and got straight to the point. "We have a problem with a simple solution. I'm thinking we've tried everything else, and now it's down to only one answer." They both looked clueless. Elliot started texting, and Cooper scratched his brown hair, dry and dirty as a tumbleweed. "I'm adopted," Griffin thought. "It's the only explanation, or they are."